Hi there, trader. My focus this week is on the US dollar uptrend, very strong at this moment, but there is an important decision to be made by the Fed, the central bank of the US, on Wednesday. So we're going to take a look at what we can expect on the dollar pairs like euro dollar in just a second. First of all, be aware that this video is shown to a global audience but may not be suitable for everyone. Please visit animalmarketsglobal.com, select your country of residence, and contact an appropriate entity for more details. Also, please be aware that trading for exchange and global financial markets is considered high risk. Please seek the advice of an independent financial advisor for more information on that. This video is for educational and informational purposes only. By continuing watching this video, you agree with this disclaimer and you are aware of the risks involved when trading. The dollar yen, for instance, we can of course see the strength of the dollar very clearly, and I've been bullish on this dollar yen already since the price has reached the 50 fib of the strong uptrend we've had here. Price, in my opinion, was correcting and indeed bounced at the 50 fib as expected. Broke the resistance trend line right about here, as you can see, right through it, and has been in a strong bullish momentum ever since. Now, some were looking for turnarounds at this point. I was expecting the dollar yen to trend to continue, because once the trend starts on the dollar yen, it typically pushes and pushes. There's not big or deep retracements on a trending yen pair. So when price was making this kind of consolidation zones, I was not looking for reversals myself. As I was saying in the live webinars, I'm looking for uptrend continuations, just because typically, as a characteristic of this currency, the yen currency, you don't see deep retracements often enough, especially against the dollar, I would say. Pound yen, I would definitely not say that for that pair. That pair is a very fast moving currency pair. So dollar yen broke these consolidations and is continuing higher and higher. So from my point of view, this is just a continuation of that uptrend. And at this moment, I would not be surprised if price basically hits the minus 61.8 target at 116. Price already broke above the 115 round level. So I think there's a small little push left, probably. At that point, I am looking and expecting, but let's see, I'm looking for at least some kind of triangle pattern or bull flag. One of those pauses that the dollar yen is known for, and then a break above that for a continuation. I don't think it would be strange at all for a continuation above this target and a follow through to the next target, 116.70-ish, and perhaps even further than that to 117.50, 117.75. So that's what I'm expecting, but I do want to see some kind of flag and then a continuation. Of course, Wednesday's Fed decision, central bank in the US, whether it's going to increase the rate or not, that will certainly have its effect. If it does, the dollar will be more attractive. The dollar should strengthen further if the rate is hiked. If the rate stays the same, well, on the dollar yen, things might go flattish, might be a bearish correction as well, by the way. So that, of course, is an important event on Wednesday. However, generally speaking, I think that there's a good chance of a rate hike, and even if it doesn't, I think the dollar yen will continue with the uptrend. And we've just had a very good example of a bull flag triangle on the 4-hour chart. What I think should occur after this break of the 4-hour triangle is a 1-hour triangle, and I think that there's a good chance that will happen this week. So, by the way, we got webinars this week, of course, taking a look at what could happen on Wednesday, discussing also trades before that, by the way. Indicator trading on Tuesday, for instance. Strategy trading on Wednesday with candlestick patterns. Nenad, of course, has his usually weekly recap with the setups that he thinks are interesting on the euro dollar, pound dollar, and more. And our education webinars on Tuesday, Wednesday this time, taking a look at commodities and stock indices on Tuesday, and Wednesday at price action entries. On to the euro dollar, of course, always a pair to keep an eye on, especially with the news event around the corner. But I think that the euro dollar should break through this bottom. We had a clear November bearish candle. The retracement that I expected of that bearish candle did occur, as you can see, a retracement about halfway that candle. So I think last month's candle has been retraced, and I think that there's a very good chance that the price will now finally break through this 105, 104.50-ish bottom support zone on the weekly chart. And once that happens, I think price should be able to continue lower. As you can see, very strong momentum here. This was a big consolidation zone of almost 2 years, and now I think it's time for price to break and head to 102.50, head to parity 100, and we should see further downside. All right, and we should see price basically test parity, and perhaps if it breaks below parity, even test these support levels right here from the past. Moving on to lower time frames though, we'll just see more evidence of the bearish trend that has already started earlier, as you can see, and the price respecting the 38.50 fib zone. Now what could happen is that price might make another consolidation right at support. I'm not sure how price is going to react at this support zone. Doesn't have to break right here, right now, right at this single minute, right? So there could be another reaction. There could be another bounce. We've had, of course, bounces here before and here before. So I'm not sure how price is going to respond. Is it going to be kind of a flattish bear flag type, or is there going to be an ABC zigzag? That is something I really don't have any particular favorite of. What I do know is that I don't expect price to break above this top. What I do know is that if it shows a pattern, I'm interested in the break and also the break below this bottom, especially if it breaks the bottom though. I'm interested in seeing follow-throughs to the downside. I would take a look at 4-hour charts, take a look at hourly charts, look for the break like this, look for small little flags on the 1-hour chart, and look for continuations there. That's, from my point of view, the most interesting. Or if it shows patterns, or if it shows a zigzag like that, I would look for basically put a fib on the first swing high, swing low, look for the retracement, and look for the targets here for a turn right there. So typically the zigzags go like this. So I would look for fib targets right there for a turn. So that's what I'm looking for on the euro dollar. But I do think the bottom eventually will break sooner or later. Pound USD, well, basically the rising wedge broke with good momentum. The hook back indeed stalled as well. You got basically a head and shoulders pattern there. Price then dropped from that head and shoulders pattern with good momentum, and now is making a consolidation zone. So for me, from my perspective, I see momentum to the downside. I see sideways like this. So I think there's a good chance that price, if it breaks to the pivot point, can retest 125.50. If it breaks the bottom, it could go down to 125. That's a round level plus support trend line. There could be a bit of a bear flag. If it breaks through that bear flag and support, then it could fall down to 124.50, down to 124. So each of these support levels are potentially bouncing spots and stalling spots right here, right here, right here, right here. But if it starts to break through, especially if it starts to break through this bottom, I think there's a good chance of follow through to the downside. All right. Now, if it doesn't break through 125.50, of course, if it doesn't break through even the pivot point as well, then we'll have to see. This ultimately is in a downtrend at this point. But if it doesn't break, it doesn't break. And we're going to have to see how price then responds to 126.25, important level that could be double top. There's a trend line resistance. There's an R1, 126, 126.25 is a key decision zone in my opinion. If price turns around there, then there's a good chance that this is just a sideways correction as I expect. If price doesn't turn around but breaks instead, then that's a bullish break, and I'm looking for a bull flag, and there could be the opposite going on, and there could be actually a reversal-ish pattern on this cable, and there could be some upside expectation. So yeah, that's a key zone right there, 126, 126.25 in my opinion. I still think that this is probably a correction, and therefore this should be a turnaround spot. But hey, if the market shows differently and the market breaks above that, I'm not going to fight the market, and I would be looking for this to continue. But what I would be looking for is some kind of bull flag to show that this is not a false break, but actually this is a turnaround, and the market is showing some potential for more upside. All right, I'm not going to jump in along right away just because there is a chance of a false break, and what could happen is price makes it upside, but then quickly turns back down with momentum like this, and then starts to show a bear flag. Then I'm bearish again, because in that case this was a correction, and we're probably back in a downtrend. All right, and this was a false break. That can happen when you got trend lines like this, especially if it's just the start of a trend. This could have been the start of a new downtrend. Then those things can certainly happen. All right, last but not least, the Aussie weekly chart. We got a break, strong downtrend before, of course, in the past. Then we had this correction. Price didn't break, so we actually, to the upside, we actually had a break to the downside. And if you zoom into lower time frames, you see that price is now kind of making a triangle like this after momentum. So if price breaks through the support, then I think we could see a continuation of this momentum right here, and we could see a follow through to the downside. Now you see here, right, this momentum, and that could happen. So that support line is important. But if price, for whatever reason, this is also showing momentum. So if this could be a triangle too, so if it does break above this top and finally manages to break that top successfully, there could be a small kind of spurt to the upside up to this target, and perhaps even further to this target as well. So I'm keeping an eye on both resistance and support trend lines throughout the week. Thanks for joining this webinar or video. Hope to see you in those webinars this week, of course, with a lot of updates, a lot of trade ideas and analysis, of course, from our side, our perspective on the markets. For more info on Admiral Markets, check out the website, admiralmarkets.com, and of course, you can find Admiral Markets through these channels as well. And wish you all great trading. Cheers.